This is TWiT.
Now, before the clock strikes 12.
Now I have to get, I fly in 5 hours.
Oh, you got time. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I got
plenty of time.
I got a 3-hour drive before I fly.
Oh, let's get this done then. What's your whiskey pick of the week?
My whiskey pick of the week sitting right here. I've been drinking it all week. It's the Jura 10.
Yum.
I'm not going to call this a filler whiskey per se in terms of our schedule, but I have another Australian bottle I'll deal with next week because I didn't want to travel with it. But Jura is the only distillery on the Isle of Jura. And Jura is just northeast of Islay. So it is part of the Inner Hebrides. It's a small island, 150 square miles. That's it. There are, quote unquote, mountains on the island, 3 of them that are about 2,500 feet high. They're called the Paps of Jura. They're conical quartzites. Otherwise, this island has a little bit of forest, lots of peat bog, because, again, suffering from the same weather conditions that Islay is, because it's right nearby. There's evidence of humans being on that island for a very long time, Mesolithic and Neolithic. There are ruins, there are monuments, there are cairns, all kinds of cool stuff.
There are empty whiskey bottles.
There are more whiskey barrels on Jura than there are people.
Wow.
By a lot.
Wow.
Like Islay, these islands were largely controlled by the Gaelic peoples, what we generally would call Irish, until, of course, then the Vikings came through and killed everybody and kept control of those islands for hundreds of years until the Treaty of Perth in 1266. And after that, it was part of the Scottish kingdom. So these islands were controlled by the MacDougals, the MacDonalds, and the McRorys. Although after a couple hundred years, they were fomenting an insurrection against the king. And so the lands were taken away from them, this 146 square mile island, and given to the Campbells of Craiginish. Who controlled the island until the 1700s, as you start to form the conventional state and the concept of the United Kingdom and so forth. The peak population of the Isle of Jura was in 1831 at a whole 1,300 people. Today, it's a little less than 200. There really are more barrels than people on this island. There is exactly one town. It is called Craighouse. It has a general store, a church, a primary school, a gas station, a tea room, the only hotel that also has a bar, and just a little bit out of town is the distillery of Jura.
Have you visited?
I have not. No, I have not been down there. There's the easy way to get there is via a ferry out of Talvalich, which is a passenger-only ferry during the summer. It's about £30 to take a ride across to Craighouse, and your main thing you would do there is go to tea and or go taste whiskey. There is the all year round transport is from Islay on the west side, the Port Askaig ferry, which is a 5-minute ferry. You are expected to be in the line on the Jura side before the ferry leaves Port Askaig, because they just go over, they pick you up, and they take you back. It's very quick.
You got 5 minutes, baby. Get on that boat.
The claim to fame for Jura is that George Orwell wrote 1984 while renting a house on the island.
No kidding.
In 1947-48. He finished it in late 48 and then sent it off to the publisher and immediately left the island to get treated for tuberculosis. And he did die of tuberculosis a few months later, but not before he saw that his great masterwork would be published. And that house, by the way, is still for rent, essentially in the same condition that Orwell left it. They've preserved it, and you can rent it if you would like to have that experience. Back to the whiskey side of things. So in Craighouse, there was a distillery first formed in 1810. And on this bottle, it talks about 1810, established 1810, which is a complete lie, because the distillery, while formed by a Campbell, an Archibald Campbell, it changed names several times over the next 90 years. It was called Small Isles. It was called Caerleon. Finally, it was called Jura, but it went bankrupt and was shut down in 1901 and stripped of parts. All the equipment, stills, everything was removed when it sat empty for another 60 years. 1963, Robin Fletcher and Tony Riley Smith, with backing from the McKinley & Co. group, rebuilt the distillery. So really new of the 60s. Their first production was in 74. They did well enough that by 78, they doubled from 2 stills to 4. They were bought out by Invergordon Distillers in 85, which became White & McKay in 93. And White & McKay, you know of, we've talked about them before. They've owned Dalmore, Tamnavulin, Bruichladdich, and Tullibardine. And then United Spirits bought White & McKay in 2007, which has now been merged into Emperador as of 2014. That's a Filipino liquor distribution organization. And this particular edition of Jura, their whiskeys, again, is contemporary. This is a 2018 redesign of the bottle and the product, which speaks to the fact that it is not heavily peated, considering where it's from. Because they use a Kerry-style yeast, which is a little bit different, typical in the South, only a 54-hour fermentation, which is short. Many are much longer than that. They got 6 stainless steel washbacks, about 50,000 liters each, and then just 2 sets of stills, 24,000-liter wash stills and 15,000-liter spirit stills. But what they are famous for is being extremely tall. 28 feet high. At the time that they were put into production in the 70s, they were the largest stills in the world. It's not true anymore. And certainly they stayed the largest stills in Scotland. Like Jack Daniels has the biggest stills now. But a couple of the Scottish distilleries now have larger stills. They're what they call lantern style. So great big bulb on the bottom that chokes up into a tighter neck with a second bulb and a high lie arm that then has a slight decline. So lots of reflux, which makes for a very light whiskey. And they use standard rack warehousing, which you're used to, the wooden structures, barrels on their sides, dirt floors. They make a lot of different whiskey. Again, they're very much a contemporary whiskey company now. So their signature range, of which this is the base product, they actually have 14 variations in. Some are peated, some are not. They have a bunch of different barrelings, including, most stuff is aged in bourbon because it's inexpensive, but they also do finishes in wine, in beer, in sherry, in port, and rum. And then they have a set 9 varieties of what they call travel exclusives, which are duty-free, which universally I loathe. Generally speaking, duty-free whiskeys are a mistake. Don't do it. Nobody's, don't do it.
Pay the duty or just drink it there.
There is, then a third line is what they call the rare and limited lines, which they do special editions of here and there. The ultimate rare and limited, if you care to try and find it, is the 1984 edition made in honor of Orwell. So distilled in 84 and then bottled 30-year-old. Last time went up for auction because there was none for sale. It was over $1,000.
I was going to say, jeez.
You're not going to find that now. Don't worry about it. So the Jura 10, this is the baseline of the signature line. Aged in bourbon casks, not surprising, inexpensive. It's got a tiny bit of peat in it. And if you don't think I'm going to drink whiskey at 9 o'clock in the morning in New Zealand, you are mistaken. This is my job. I'm here.
It's his job. They don't call him Campbell for nothing. I just put 2 and 2 together. You come from a long line of Scotch whiskey drinkers.
For sure. So just the tiniest hint of peat. It's 0.5 ppm, which is really just enough to go.
Just how
hello.
We like it.
Yeah. I might have been there. It does have a finish in sherry, so it's been a little less than a year at sherry at the end. So a lot of color for a 10-year-old, and so tasty.
I like sherry finish, I think.
Yeah, it's a good way to go. And this is an inexpensive bottle, 40% ABV. You can find it at Bevmo, less than $40. Not a big deal. Here's what's fun about this, because I've been drinking it all week with my cousins. It evolves in your mouth as you drink it. So the initial hit from it is still a potent whiskey. It's only 40%, so it's not real heady. Like you're not being clubbed over the head or anything. It's got that little smoky flavor, which you rapidly forget about. And then it just gives you a bit of heat and a bit of fruitiness and sugariness because it's light. It's a very light tasting, light drinking whiskey. So it's a friend. You can keep this around. It's an everyday drinker. It's not expensive, but it's proper Scottish whiskey from the Inner Hebrides. And that's an awesome thing.
Made by a tiny island community, and that's what you're looking for.
You're probably talking a dozen people work at that distillery, and that's it.
That's really cool, I have to say. That is really cool.
I'm just glad it's not called Jura. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly.
And they say the bottles are designed for, travel on ship to export. Does that make sense? Or is
it's a little flattened?
It's kind of a cool...
this is not your standard Scotch bottle, which is great because this is I think it's a better looking bottle.
It's not round and it's got little indentations, so you know exactly where to hold it.
Bottom. Yeah, it's got scrippy. The 1810 on the back, I already told you that. Like, come on, guys.
Not really.
Nah. This was designed in 2018 and it shows because it's so drinkable.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. As some of our sponsors say, if I were a whiskey drinker, this is what I'd be drinking.
There you go.
Yes. They always, for some reason, they put this line in our ads now. If I were to use this product, this is the product I would use. Okay. Okay. If you say so.